Here's the July housing market report for the East Bay. But before we dive into the local data, let's take a look at what's going on across the US and here in California, because what happens nationally does trickle down to our local market.
For the first time in more than a decade, the number of US home sellers now dramatically exceeds the number of buyers. That's according to a new report from Redfin. The shift in buying power could cause prices to fall.
Let's start with the national picture. The US added 147,000 jobs in June and unemployment went down to 4.1%.
Joining me now to break all of this down, you expected some of this, but this is better than expected?
Yeah, Sarah, it is. Look, this jobs market is like the Energizer Bunny. Every single time we expect it to run out of steam, it just keeps going and going.
So that steady job growth is keeping demand for housing alive, even with mortgage rates still hovering around 7%. And here's something new. President Trump just signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
The Big Beautiful Bill, as it's called, will likely include a $40,000 SALT deduction, that is, state and local tax deduction. Before 2017, it was unlimited. It then got capped at $10,000, and now $40,000 will help a lot of Californians.
It raises the SALT deduction cap to $40,000 for people earning under $500,000. That's a potential tax break that could make owning a home in high-cost areas like California more attractive. Here's a quick background on SALT. It stands for state and local taxes. It's a federal tax deduction for the income and property taxes you and I pay to our state and local governments. Before this change, the cap was just $10,000. Now it's been raised to $40,000 at least for the next 5 years. Here's what it looks like for someone here in the East Bay. Let's say a couple in Castro Valley earns $250,000 a year. They might pay around $32,000 in combined property taxes and state income tax. Before, they could only deduct $10,000 of that. Now, they can deduct the full $32,000. If they're in the 32% federal tax bracket, that could mean over $7,000 in savings. That's real money, enough to help with monthly affordability or even home upgrades. Now let's talk California. According to the California Association of Realtors, buyer sentiment is improving. In June, 28% of consumers said it was a good time to buy. That's the highest since early 2022. But the challenges remain. High home prices, tough down payment requirements, and tight lending standards are still holding back many buyers. Even so, pending home sales rose slightly across the state with a 6% jump in the West. That means buyers are watching, waiting, and jumping in when they see the right opportunity. So what does this all mean for us here in the East Bay? Are prices dropping? Is inventory rising? Or are buyers really back? Let's break it down with the latest numbers from the Bay East Association of Realtors. This past month, the East Bay inventory hit a 5-year high, even above pre-pandemic levels. Buyers had more options and they took their time. On average, homes sat on the market for 29 days, up from 18 days from a year ago. And with more inventory came slightly lower prices. The median sales price dropped below $1.2 million. More choices and slightly lower prices helped push up the number of homes sold, both compared to last month and the same time last year. Now let's look at the local East Bay breakdown. In the 880 corridor, inventory was up everywhere except for Oakland, San Leandro, and San Lorenzo. The median price, Hayward dropped 10%, Newark fell 23%. Number of homes sold were mixed. Here's a quick note on price drops. When you hear something like Dublin down 60% or Newark down 23%, it's not always about declining values. That's often also due to sales mix, meaning more entry-level homes might have sold or closed in the past month. That's pulling down the average. It's smart to dig into the specific neighborhoods and home style before drawing conclusions. Moving on to Central Contra Costa. Inventory was down in Clayton and unchanged in Martinez. The rest were all up. As far as prices are concerned, only Concord and Martinez were in the positive territory. The rest all down. The number of homes sold, only Walnut Creek was positive. Let's move on to La Morinda. Across La Morinda, inventory increased. Orinda alone had 49 active listings. Prices were lower in Moraga and Orinda, but up in Lafayette. In terms of the number of homes sold, buyers were out in Lafayette and Orinda, both up, Moraga down. Moving on to the Tri-Valley. More homes for sale across the board. Only Alamo up in the single digit. The rest all double-digit increases. Sales prices were mostly down except for Livermore up 6%. The number of homes sold, Pleasanton and San Ramon both up, all others down. Finally, moving on to the Delta region. Inventory significantly up across the Delta. Sales prices were mixed. You got declines of 6% and then you have Pittsburgh no change and Discovery Bay up 2%. The number of homes sold all down except for Pittsburgh. Buyers are out in Pittsburgh. Here's the big picture takeaway. Home supply is up, buyers have choices and are taking their time. Prices are broadly down or flat, but that really depends on the type of homes that are selling in each area. Sales activity is mixed. Some areas are strong, others are slowing down. We are definitely seeing more listings, more buyer hesitation, and slightly lower prices. It's not a buyer's market or a seller's market, it's somewhere in the middle, which makes understanding your neighborhood's numbers more important than ever. If you're a buyer, the takeaway is not that home prices are crashing. You have negotiating power and more choices now. However, that doesn't mean you can just throw out a lowball offer and expect sellers to jump. Homes that are priced right are still selling quickly. For home sellers, keep in mind that buyers are super sensitive to pricing. Homes that show well and are priced correctly are still flying off the shelf, so to speak. You might not see those several hundred thousands of over asking bidding wars anymore, but you can still walk away with a solid price if you're realistic. I'm Mac Rogers. I keep tabs on the local real estate market and neighborhood trends so you can make confident decisions without second guessing.